Best greetings from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Today, January 6, 2020. And in this video, I would like to tell you the story about Australian beekeeping. Just because, you know, from different social media, from television, about tragedy, what is happening now, and was developing during this time before New Year and during the latest days when bushfire destroyed a lot of land, destroyed a lot of forests, animals all around Australia, and it's a really national and international tragedy for people, for human beings, for animals, and for beekeepers who are taking care about honeybees in Australia, in different areas. And this bushfire destroyed a lot of honeybees and beehives all around Australia. So that's right, that's why I decided to read some stories from internet, from media about it, because just I have not seen yet impressions of Australian beekeepers, because this is not a good point to tell about it from a bushfire place. That's really difficult, and also it's because of connection with internet, impression on beekeepers, and that's not a really good point to show everything about this strategy, but I will read about it. Okay, what's about the story? Actually, some beekeepers are saying that it will take more than 20 years to fully recover from beehives and loss and floral loss in north south Wales of Australian part. Well, beekeepers checking on hives are some of the first people who fire-ravaged forests and are not prepared for the traumatic sights and sounds of wounded and suffering animals. And it was recorded in this media that beekeepers really traumatized and cancelled after hearing animals screaming in pain after bushfires. New South Wales Apiarist Association President Stephen Target said that the situation in north-south west was truly devastating for beekeepers and extremely traumatic. It's doing afterheads, the screaming animals, the animals that are in pain, that are crying out in the forest, and it was absolutely horrific, as Mr. Target said. Our beekeepers employed some young people, and it was really traumatized for them. So the beekeeper has arranged counseling for these young beekeepers who went into the forest, and he wouldn't allow them back into the forest for some period of time. What is about concern for mental health? The impact of a drought and now bushfires has worn beekeepers down. More than 1 million hectares has been burned in Australia since the start of this year's bushfire season, with hives and key foraging country for bees burned out. Peter Mattison from Elands, southwest of Port Macquarie, estimated he had lost about 70% of his hives and 90% of the sites he used for his bees. I'm pretty resilient guy, but I have lost a lot of bees, Mr. Matheson said. Those bees are more than livestock for me. I think for them like I'm dead a bit. I looked after them and they looked after me. If I had to watch more hives burned after we have lost a hell of a lot already, I just don't even know about starting over again. I just don't know what to do next. Yes, it's really sad. As some beekeepers said, what is about impact of fires to be felt for years? Yes, Despite the devastation, Mr. Matheson in Australia has starting to think about rebuilding, the process that would involve sacrificing money production for a year to split hives over and over again to build up numbers. It's a pretty much decimated most of our business, not just the bees, but all forest and the plants that we used to make the honey. And Mr. Matheson said it would be at least 3 years before he could use some of these sites again, some of which supplied flowers for the highly sought after Manuka honey. Up and down the coast, it seems like most of what burned was first of all of what coastal Manuka country, and we wouldn't get to make honey on what we 3 years, he said. Mr. Target believed a 3 years recovery estimate was conservative. The fires were not in the places that some beekeepers who had a fairly good understanding of their local bush don't believe those trees will be flowering or producing nectar and pollen for the bees for at least 20 years, and in some cases they don't believe it will be in their lifetime, he said. So the foraging fields are destroyed drastically. Without Manuka honey in our pattern of Australia, for the next 3 years we wouldn't survive on regular table honey. It's not worth for us, Mr. Matheson said. Further north, Michael House from Australia's Manuka company was also moving hives because of bushfires, but that was providing a challenge with drought, ribbon marsh of the state. Replacing trees must priority. Yes, I agree. At this moment we have 300 on other side, beehives on other sides. We are slowly moving them out depending on whether there are any nectar coming in, Mr. Ho says. So the search for nectarine places are really under demand. With the drought, the trees are flowering, but there is no nectar where for bees. So we are monitoring that, and as it was worsened, we are moving them out and trying to find better pastures, so to speak. What's about money? What is about cost of honey to rise or not? Mr. Target in Australia warned consumers would soon pay more for their honey. In the short term, it will definitely reduce the honey production in the state. So we are likely to see an price increase happen in the short term at least, he said. It would be a doubling of the price of honey. But prices will move up. It's not just bad for honey production. Bees are worth for more than all Australian economy through pollination. Now beekeepers are seeking for new areas, for new foraging plants everywhere around. Australian Apiarist Association are calling to anyone with land available for bees to get in touch. We have received phone calls from people who had the land, they have got a farm, but no beekeeper is putting bees on their farm, and have run me up and said, I have 100 acres. Beekeepers are welcome to put bees on there if they wish, as beekeeper Mr. Target said. I get their contact details and flick it out of Apiarist Association branches, and then the branches flick it out for members. And if any of the members beekeepers require somewhere for their hives, they can contact these farmers. It's really very much appreciated. people are really thinking about bees and for the importance of bees for food security, for regional development, and for everything like that. And it's really great. Australian beekeeper Mr. Target also work with the state government to allow beekeepers to use public land, including national parks, for temporary house honeybees and beehives while the bushland recovers. So far, this was there is the really devastating and tragic situation in Australia now for all wildlife, for farmers and for beekeepers. And that's a short story what I wanted to read for today, and looking forward for comments of other beekeepers, maybe for some beekeepers from Australia who will find this video, and I will be really appreciated for their comments, what was happening in their land, how they are surviving, how they are recovering, and we wish you good luck, success, and strength to survive this really tragic situation for your farm, for beehives, for beekeeping as a whole. Thank you for watching. Looking forward to see on my channel and subscribe. And I will continue my story about bees, about insects, about nature. And if you would like to receive new stories, don't forget to press like, subscribe on YouTube, or press button on this over there here on this bell, and you will receive recommendations about new video. And thank you for watching. Best wishes, and looking forward to see you as subscriber on my channel. Yes, and thank you for your comments. Be friendly, apiary beekeeper. See you soon on my channel. Bye bye.